Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fit Chicks Chat. My name is Amanda Quinn,
And my name's Laura Jackson.
and today we are talking about our top five fitness essentials for 2024
Yeah.
because we are about to wrap up this year and we are just, I don't know, like everyone starts thinking about resolutions. They start thinking about what am I going to do for the new year and everything else. And so we want to just share with you some traditional slash non-traditional essentials that you can start thinking about right now that will help you get on track for whatever, if it's your own personal goals or if it's helping your clients reach their fitness goals or just sort of setting everyone up for success, essentially. And so these are things that we want you to be thinking about outside of just, oh, I need to just like get moving or whatever. Like this is essentially just like thinking about the things that are really actually important when it comes to starting the year off right, or even starting right now, right? Because I mean, that's like a side note, but so many people want to wait until they're like, I have to wait till the new year and then I'm going to start getting on my plan and all this kind of stuff. And to be honest, it's like you can just start today. Like you do not have to wait until the new year. You don't have to wait for anything. Like right now is the perfect time to start. So if this is your plan, if your plan is to, get started in the new year, why not just start implementing these things today?
Well, and I think for me, that was a really big thing and was the idea of taking away these like stop and start markers throughout the year of my fitness journey or
Mhm.
feeling like it was on or off. I'm really adopting the mindset of it's who I am, it's what I do. And there's seasons where things are going to be, more active or less active. And because I used to be one of those people that was like, okay, January,
Monday.
or being like, well, January is happening. So, well, at this point, like even right now, I've been battling, my house has been in and out of being sick. I just suddenly am getting sick again, and I never, ever, ever get sick. And I just am like on the cusp of this cold wanting to kick off. And I've been like doing all of my holistic methods. But, it's December, that not feeling well, year end is wrapping up for work, Christmas is coming, or holidays, whatever you celebrate. And then it's just like, forget it. You know what I mean? That's where it comes to be like, oh well, I'll just start January. And that used to be my old mindset. And I just kind of have completely, and I know it sounds like something that is so simple, but it's so hard to do because we've kind of been conditioned to believe that, you know, January is a new start and we start again then. And then it's like, oh well, summer the kids are off. So then we have less time to work out. We create these beliefs in our mind about how things should be when you just kind of all time to me now, all years, there is no start stop, there is no end. It's all fluid. It all rolls into the next. So if
Mhm.
I am going to take a break over the holidays for a couple of weeks, that doesn't mean I'm starting again on the new year. It just means, that might be when I'm back to focusing on it.
For sure. And I think that kind of is like the first thing that's actually part of our top five essentials, which is to have a plan that is geared towards your progress, right? Because the plan
Yeah.
is to have it so that this is something that will ensure that you can make it happen on a daily basis or an every other day basis or whatever your proper plan is for you. But you want to have a plan in place that allows for you to be able to make this fluid with your life. Because if we don't have a plan, it's like without a plan, you fail, right? And you have to have some sort of a plan, not only for what am I going to actually do as my workout, like what does the workout look like, but what is the plan to ensure that my workout happens? And
Mm-hmm.
what is the plan if I'm derailed that I can do? Like if, I don't know, my car breaks down and I can't go to the gym, or someone in my household is not feeling well, what do I do? And that kind of thing. And having those essentials and planning for those essentials are really like the key to success. And it's things like, plan or for timing, during the holidays when people are home. I know, like my daughter, she's going to be home from school. So it's like, what can I do to ensure that my workouts still happen? It's like, okay, I can get up a little bit earlier, or I can do my workouts at night, or I can plan with my husband to, fit it in right after dinner. He's going to do this and I'm going to, you know what I mean? But it's like, you've got to be strategic about it, and it might be fluid and changing, but you want to ensure that every single day you're thinking about it, because you have to prioritize it. Because if you don't prioritize it, And I'm talking about this from my own experience. Like when you don't prioritize things, it's so easy for other things to take precedence
Mhm.
over your workouts, over your plan, and it can just take the backseat. And then once it takes the backseat, it's so hard to like kick it back into first gear again. I don't know if that's happened for you, Laura, but I know for
Yeah.
me that that's been like a huge thing where I'm like, if I get into a routine of working out daily and doing my movement and all that kind of stuff, that feels natural. But then when I get into a routine of it not happening, that also feels natural.
Oh,
Not
completely. And
natural anymore, but like it feels unnatural in my body, but it feels natural in my day to day, if that makes sense.
no, because as human beings, we're so adaptable and we're more adaptable to be doing things that are less effort than more effort. So when we
Yeah.
get the mindset of things are negotiable, then we start to have this battle with ourselves, right? Then it's like, well, why not just lay in bed an hour longer? Or why not just skip the workout and watch Netflix, right? Like it, when we make things negotiable, then we always will negotiate for the least amount of effort. So it's like in my mind, I just make those things a non-negotiable and I figure it out. So I always have a backup plan for what it is I'm going to do if I can't do it when I said I was going to do it. And this is one thing
Exactly.
I want to say too for anyone who's listening who is struggling with, getting into a fitness routine or staying with it, because I think that one of the fitness essentials for 2024 is around mindset. Like that's what I personally think, because I think all of the tools and the work, and we're
We're
going to talk
getting
about that
there.
too. Yeah, like they're great, but like I know people who have every piece of top of the line equipment in their house.
Mhm.
They have Pelotons, they have Bowflexes, they have treads, they have, all the weights, they have squat racks in the garage, they have everything. And it just sits there as hanging laundry. And they're like, what is wrong with me? Like, why is it I have everything, I have the time and I don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's like this is something I really want to say, because we can get the checklist, but we still don't follow the checklist. So it's,
Yeah.
to me, I think if you're struggling, the first essential thing that you need to focus on is creating the habit. Because
Right.
again, change is really challenging if we negotiate with our brains all the time. So even if at first your small little win that makes you feel better, because we don't want to get into a self-loathing cycle, is just leaving your running shoes by the door and putting them on. Now, I know that sounds so stupid. And like, it's like, what do you mean I'm putting on my running shoes and that? But the act, most people, the biggest problem, I was having this conversation with a lady at the gym the other day. She's like, my biggest struggle is not the workout. It's that moment where I put on my shoes and I decide to go to the gym. Like when I put on the shoes and I walk out the door. That is the moment that is the hardest moment to do. I'm like, yes. So getting to the place where you just create that pattern where you put on the running shoes every day, then eventually you will walk out the door. But the thing is, you have to just be committed to doing that small act, because if you can put on the running shoes, you can walk out the door, right?
Yeah.
You can get on the treadmill, but it's at first, we all have that trigger moment where it's going left or right. So it's starting to train your brain that, okay, this is the habit, is this is what we do. And then like, okay, well, I've done that and I proved to myself I can do that. What's the next thing? Or go for a walk for 3 minutes. Like literally negotiate with yourself. I can do 3 minutes and then get that consistency. It's creating the habit. And it sounds so stupid and so basic in some ways, but like that is literally how you build on change, is you've got to start. Now, the other
Mhm.
way, of course, something drastic can happen and some people just jump in. That's usually a health scare and we don't want that to happen. So
For sure.
having
Oh,
some pieces.
I feel like too, and that was one of our lists. So we're just like jumping around on here, but that's totally cool. It's like this fluid conversation of the essentials, but essentially that was one of them, was the mindset of success and how
Mhm.
do we get ourselves into a habit of success. And I do think though that what you were saying is so true, because when you when you leave the running shoes by the door and then you lace up the running shoes, your brain is going to switch gears. You're not going to unlace, chances are you're not going to then put them on just to take them off. You're going to put them on to do the thing.
Mhm.
You're not going to necessarily like put on the running shoes, lace them up, and then stand there and go, nah, and take them off. Right. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen as often as you actually taking that next step. Right. But it's always the one act. So it's like sleep in your workout clothes, plan for things in advance, have somebody who's like, oh, I'm going to come over, and I'm going to watch the kids for the next 45 minutes so you can do your workout. Because when they arrive, you're not going to be like, oh, no, no, I'm not going to do my part. Like if they're making an act to come and support you, then you're going to do the thing that they're supporting you on. Like it's all
Yeah.
of those things, but it's like, it's the trigger point of like, okay, what's the definitive action that happens that makes me then go into my action mode?
Well,
And
and
then
it's,
once we do that,
yeah, and it's also, I think, and we've talked about this a lot in the podcast, it's the idea of becoming the person that you want to be. Like right now, if you're not someone who fitness is a priority in your life, or is, just comes as a natural habit, because, for example, for me, it is now, but for years it wasn't.
yeah,
So it's like, you have to start to become the person who does that. And even the smallest act, and again, I know it sounds so silly, but when you're becoming a person who actually puts on their running shoes, you will become a person who takes the next step. But it's
yeah,
that those little tiny shifts that will start to, because many times it's like, I want to do this, but I can't, or I'm not the type of person who does that, or I feel so uncomfortable in this workout or in the gym or in this class because I've never, like, I'm not that person yet. So of course you feel awkward because you're trying to go from A to Z. So even if you just be like, oh, I'm a person who walks for three minutes a day. My mom was just down and she was telling me how one of the ladies, she has a new walking buddy. It's one of the ladies on her street who has lost 40 pounds. And I'm always so curious. I said to my mom, I'm like, what do you think was the trigger? Like, what was the thing that was the catalyst for her to start this journey? Because as you and I have talked a lot about, we talked a lot about on the podcast, there's usually something that triggers that change. It's either a decision or something happens to you, right?
yeah.
And the decision is the harder one. So I was like, what was it what was the catalyst for that? And she was saying, she's like, I guess one day she's in a relationship and he is very unhealthy and he is, very sedentary and has a lot of health problems and is not focused on trying to change any of that. And one day she woke up and she looked in the mirror and she's like, I've become someone I don't even recognize. And this is not going to be my story. Like, this is not going to be my story moving forward. So that day she had this decision and she went and joined the gym and she started swimming because she was heavier and that was, lighter on her joints. But she just started swimming in the pool.
And swimming is also one of the hardest workouts in my
It's
opinion in
so
the whole
hard.
world.
She wasn't like swimming laps or anything like that, but she just was getting in the pool and doing, some like water row stuff and just doing some light, like with the flutter
Love me some
boards.
water aerobics.
Oh yeah, like doing the flutter board. But then that started to translate into other things because she didn't necessarily like want to be swimming every single day. And now she goes to the gym 5 days a week. She goes walking with my mom. She has a whole new social circle and an outlook. But it just started with that one thing.
Decision.
Well, yeah, and it's sometimes it is something that, you just hit a wall where you've had enough. It actually is easier to change when something bad happens than it is when nothing happens.
Of
But
course it is. Mhm.
sometimes you just hit that wall and it's like, I really want to hit this home because I feel like so many times, especially around this time of year, we're like, yes, I'm starting my fitness journey and we're asking for all this, I want a Peloton or I want this at home weights and I want these gifts, which I do believe we have to set ourselves up for success, right? You have
Yes.
to, like, part of the fitness essentials, if your space is not set up for you to win at your goal, it's going to be so much harder for you to win at your goal, right?
Mhm.
So having the right things in your space. And for me, one of those things was getting a Peloton. Like that was a big thing for my at-home workouts because
Same.
yeah, because for my
Well, I
hip
remember us even
training,
having that conversation. I was like, hey, I'm going to get a Peloton. And then I was telling you about it. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to get one too. And I was like, we should get them because they're so, it's just to have the benefit of just being able to hop on when you need
mhm.
to, when you can't, essentially fit in like a different type of workout. It's such a quick solution, but it's a solution that works for in-home if it's available to you, right?
Yeah,
It's
and I know that
not,
it's not financially available to everybody,
no, of
but
course
they do have some really great extended payment plans, and we're not sponsored by Peloton, so I'm not
no.
trying but
We
it's
aren't
just,
affiliated with Peloton anyway.
but the thing for me was because I do HIIT training. So for me to be able to do HIIT training in the winter at home, I've got to be doing plyometrics and jumps and things like that to push myself to the 9 out of 10. Right. So for me,
Yeah.
that was, my space wasn't set up for success because number one, I had a baby a couple of years ago. My pelvic floor is still, I'm still working getting it back. So jump squats are not the best exercise for me without being my band.
True.
And so having something that's low impact on the joints that I could push myself at that 9 out of 10, that is a key thing. So I just want everyone to think about that, before, like, I love setting up your space for success. I think ask for all the things for Christmas, get the things in place that you need for 2024, but also ask yourself, how am I creating the habit now? So when I step into 2024, I will put on those, I will have the running shoes ready to go. It'll be who I am. It's second nature. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
start now
Yeah.
with that little,
Start the
those little
process.
wins.
It's like it start the process of like the internal shift so that the
Mhm.
external stuff is just like your tools to help you with the plan, but you've already made the shift internally. And that's so essentially what you were saying, like about setting up the space. That is actually the second thing on our essentials list. So we're just kind of like jumping around, but like the one of the ones is actually like setting up your space for success. And when we were talking about like, we decided that having a Peloton was really helpful for our lifestyle and something that we wanted to. But there's also things like you can look at just like yoga mats, jump ropes, weights,
Mhm.
ankle weights. I love me some ankle weights, like for just like going for a walk or I do a lot of like
I feel
at
like
home kind
because
of.
I feel like, sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like it's
Yeah.
because you and I literally are like, we should have been fitness instructors if we were younger, like older in the 80s. I feel like that would have been our prime, because like, if I could do a Richard Simmons workout, like
Oh
dance
my
to the
gosh.
oldies, and then throw in a share step routine with an ankle weight, I'm like, I'm so happy.
I
I'm
know.
with step aerobics classes. Like,
Step aerobics are like coming back in a huge way though. So if you're into those, like definitely look at them. But
oh,
for me, I just like an ankle weight because I do a lot of like at home bar workouts. I like doing them. I like doing the Peloton bar workouts in the mornings before everybody. I actually use it as my wake up routine. So in the mornings, I do a 20-minute quick bar, but I like using these little ankle weights because it just adds a little pop to the workout. And
and they're
then
cute.
it's so great. And then my bigger like work, and then probably there too, I'm like my bigger workout or my like hit workout or things like that happen later in the day, but it's actually just part of my morning routine now. And I love it because it's more about like length and like calisthenics and just kind of moving your body and like mobility and some like small
Mhm.
muscle fiber tissue like it's just a different type of workout and I just like it for me. It feels good in my body and I love doing it. So, but definitely that was number 2 was like setting up your space, setting yourself up for success, having any equipment. So don't think it has to be something like a huge investment. It could literally be like go to your local dollar store. A lot of like dollar stores, Dollar Trees, Dollaramas, things like that. I don't
Charity
know.
store, even charity stores, like,
Totally. They have weights. I've seen kettlebells there. I've seen things for
mhm,
like $2, $3. Like these are all really great tools to just have on hand at home. So don't feel like you have to have all this like fancy stuff. It can just be like the simplest things, but you want to have something that will set you up for success. Also, the other thing is the right gear. And the
yeah,
right gear, this is actually like the 74-year-old coming out in me that like where
I love it.
I'm like, you all need the one thing for your fitness essentials that everybody I believe needs is the proper running shoes. And
Mhm.
I am saying this, or the proper shoe for your workout program. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I have been dealing with like major foot issues because I wore improper shoes. It triggered some like really bad plantar fasciitis and all this stuff in my feet when we were away on vacation. Remember that? It was like day one on our vacation. I wore these shoes and like I should not have been wearing them. I wore them an entire day, an entire night of dancing. And then since then, it's been like a really big challenge. And I think obviously it was minor before, but it really triggered it. But it reminded me of how important it is to have proper fitting shoes that are supportive for what you're trying to do.
Mhm.
So I encourage you all, if you are putting on your wish list, if you're putting on sort of this kind of dream list of like things that you want for your fitness essentials, please, please, please think about the proper shoes because they're going to support you on your journey for taking that step, for lacing up the shoes at the door, for doing the in at home workouts or any jump squats or whatever it is that you're doing in your workout program. Those are going to be the things that are going to support you because your feet are your foundation, right? And you need to have them feeling supported to be able to then continue so that you're not being like, oh my gosh, this is hurting or I'm getting blisters or whatever it is. And then you can't continue. You don't want to have something derail you because it's not feeling good for your actual physical body as well.
Oh, 100%. It's the same way that I feel about ladies. Get the right sports bra.
Yes, I know. I have, oh my gosh, I have that on my list
Especially
too. Yes.
especially if you are one of our chestier sisters, because it's and this is something, again, a lot of times, if you don't have larger boobs, which I used to and I don't anymore, mine are now more deflated. However, um, and I know you could speak to this because you're more chesty, it is such a hindrance. And it can be something too that can feel embarrassing or can feel painful or can feel like you are limited with what you can do because you don't have the right support. And the thing that's wonderful, I think, now too, is that because there's so many more clothing companies that are catering to like all different shapes and sizes, they've come up with some really great, supportive, comfortable sports bras
Mhm. The
that
one that
people can
I,
actually use.
again, not sponsored, not affiliated, but the one that I personally really like because I do have a bigger chest and I always have since I was in grade 6. Um,
Mhm.
but it is the NYX Catalyst sports bra. So if anyone is like you're a chestier person and you need to have that extra support.
Nix, if you want to sponsor us,
Yes,
info
NYX.
at fitchix.ca.
Their sports bra is like my absolute favorite, and I've tried so many. I've tried the ones I can't wear the ones that are just like the pullover ones and things like it has to be like supportive. This one has it's it's like 5 clips. Remember, I always like laugh because I'm like it's like the 5 clipper. Then I have the one that's like the 10 clipper. It's got like 10 clips on it. That one's not the next catalyst, but I have different ones that I've used, and but the next one in particular is the one that I like the best. So if anyone is wanting like an honest review of it, this is my honest review of like the one that I find supports me the best and that has always I can feel like I can run in, I can jump in, I can do these things in, and it does not impact and it does not negatively impact my workouts. That is my favorite one by far, hands down, out of all of the ones I've tried. And I've tried everything from I don't want to say other brands, but I've tried all of the different brands. NYX is the one that I find is like the winner for me. So
Well, and that's
100% that
where,
that's important.
yeah, and I think that that is such an essential thing, because when you don't feel comfortable, physically comfortable, your feet hurt or your boobs are flying all over the place, or also if you are wearing clothes that don't make you feel comfortable, that you're worried, that you're thinking about what you look like or things like that, it's like you're gonna be less likely to do it or to stick to it. And this is something, to one of our friends, I just sent her for her birthday, I sent her a gift card for new workout clothes because she just started on her fitness journey. And that was my little way of saying, because she always asks me questions, and she's in her mid 40s. And she's like, I'm just starting on this. And I just feel like she's been seeing a trainer and she's loving it and like getting that consistency in. But for her, she doesn't have workout clothes. So she's been wearing old, oversized t-shirts and stuff like that. I'm like, no, it's time to graduate to wear something that you feel good in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, doesn't mean you have to feel like you look hot in it or cute or whatever. But when you feel good in what you're wearing and it works with your current body and it's a color that makes you feel good, it does make a difference. So I
For
think
sure.
that I think it's
Yeah.
such an
Like,
important piece.
yeah. And definitely just like going back to just the one last thing I want to say about sports bras, because apparently I have a lot to say about sports bras.
We should do a whole podcast on. I think we should.
But the sport, the whole thing too for me is not only like it feeling like, comfortable, but it's also, I remember when I wasn't wearing the right one and I'd be like out for a run or doing something like that, I always felt really self-conscious. Like people
Hmm.
were like looking at me, staring at me, or like that, I was bouncing too much or things like that. And I would feel like I would be thinking about it all the time. And I'm like, I don't want to be doing that. Or like even in a yoga class, I remember when I go to yoga classes and I'm like, oh, like people are probably like looking at like I don't know. It just like it always was like an intimate. But now whenever I wear the other one, the NYX Catalyst, again, not sponsored, but could be. NYX reach out. Whenever I'm wearing that one in particular, it's like I actually feel 100% confident. Like I don't, it takes nothing um to make like there's nothing that comes up for me while I'm wearing it other than the fact that I'm just focused on my workout and I'm not subconsciously thinking about all of these other like storylines running through my brain, which to me is really essential because you want to be focused on what you're actually doing and not be thinking about all these other things, especially something that makes you feel not good as opposed to feeling really good about your workout, but the fact that you showed up.
Well, and that's
So
the thing, it goes into the whole thing of what we're saying at the beginning about becoming the person who you want to be. You know,
yeah,
get the right gear, get the stuff that makes you feel good and feel comfortable, and that because you're going to be in your fitness journey now moving forward for the rest of your life, right? And it's going to change and ebb and flow as you age and all this stuff. But this is an investment and you want to look good and feel good while you're doing it. So I think that's such a big thing. And
I
I
agree.
also want to say too, just going back to the at-home equipment, which is to me is a fitness essential for 2024. Because also we are, you know, a lot of things have gotten really expensive, right? We're not
Mhm.
necessarily in a recession, but everything there is, inflation is huge and things are very expensive and households have tighter budgets and things like that. So going back to the whole Peloton thing as well and just having the right equipment, I also think there is so much value, and this is my 80s self talking again, is just doing follow along workout videos. So
Oh
again,
my
my mom was here and my mom is almost 70 and she works out every morning. She does a YouTube video on, well, she
God.
used my iPad, but on the iPad, puts it in a room where she's got space and it's like it's strength training and it's you know, they do some like walking, mobility exercises, balance and stuff like that. But it's
Mhm.
also, you know, that she's doing strength training as well. It's a 25-minute workout and she does that. It's free because it's on YouTube and it's follow along. So
Yeah,
again, thinking about the things that you can set up for your space that are cost effective, that you have access to already without having to go and invest more. And it might be that you're just starting. And like over the holidays is a really like fun place to kind of start. I love at home workout videos. Like I still love them, which is one of the things I like about the Peloton too, is they've got the follow along classes if you want to take them. Right. But it's like,
but that's how I do my bar workouts is I do them through the Peloton app because I'm like, it's awesome. And I sometimes do strength and sometimes I do boxing and sometimes I do yoga. And I use
yeah.
their app a lot because I like follow along stuff too, because I don't want to plan for it. I don't want to think about it. I want someone else to tell me, even though I am a certified fitness professional, I don't want to have to plan my own workouts. I want someone to tell me what to do because when someone tells me what to do, I do the thing. If I plan it for myself, I won't do the thing. I'll change it halfway through. I'll be like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Well, and this is where it's like, you know, which also ties into so the cost effective and the, you know, hiring a trainer. But if you can't hire a trainer, then videos are great as well.
Yeah,
But it's just having that, like having knowing what your tools are that are available to you. And a lot of times we think we have to have this big setup or we have to go to the gym, and it might just be a YouTube video and body weight exercises, and that's where we're starting from, right?
totally.
Or you know what, and also because a lot of our audience too, right, are perimenopausal, menopausal women, 40s, 50s, 60s, and we have different needs than women who are younger. And it could be anything from because we have pelvic floor issues, or it could be because, you know, we are dealing with a lot of muscle mass loss because of course we lose our muscle mass as we age and we lose it way more rapidly, especially as we head towards 60. So there's a lot of different things, but this is what I love about the YouTube is you can find a workout video for anything. So if you can't do jumping jacks because you pee your pants or you have prolapse or things, certain exercises bother that, or you can't do, you know, certain pieces of equipment, you can always find a variation on there. And you can
Mhm.
do it in a way that you don't feel like you have to tell your trainer if you're embarrassed about it or whatever. It's just such a great place to start.
I agree. I totally agree with that. So essentially, those were our top fitness essentials for 2024. We hope this was helpful just for you to start thinking about not only like planning for what you can do for the new year, but planning what you can do today, what you can
Yeah.
do right now to get started. Because like Laura said in the very beginning, it's like it's about getting into the habit now so that all of the things that you have put in place for the wish list or the new workout shoes or all of these things, they're going to get utilized in the way that you plan to use them. So you've got to get into the mindset and the habits now so that you can shift gears and you can actually become the person that you dream of for 2024 and really take control of your health. And again, this is for you or for if you're a coach to help your clients be able to then also kick it into gear for themselves as well. So we hope this was super helpful to help you plan for 2024. And of course, we also have as we mentioned in the very beginning of this, we have our fitness and nutrition expert certification program open for enrollment right now, but it is limited because, as
Mhm.
we mentioned in our huge announcement, the fitness and nutrition expert certification program is going into the virtual vault. And so what that means is we are putting it away for a period of time. So if you are like, I want to just learn for myself, or I want to learn for myself to then help others, I want to become a certified coach, I want to get started in this industry. This is something that lights me up, that excites me. And I know that this is my passion and this is the direction I want to take. And I'm ready to get certified and build that life, health, and fitness business of my dreams. You need to register now for the Fitness and Nutrition Expert Program. Go to fitchicksacademy.com/F&E, where you can enroll now before the doors close on December 31st, because it is going into the vault. We are shutting the doors on the program for a period of time. So if you know that this is exactly the path you want to take, you've got to take action today. So check it out at fitchicksacademy.com/F&E. And we look forward to welcoming you to the Academy. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. And we will see you again next week for Fit Chicks Chat. Bye, everyone.
Bye.